bad, 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 and life-based experience on love. Bad, 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 bad.
Hiya. Get myself set properly. Who's checking in? Hello, hello. Hi. What's up, everybody? Good evening, or good night. Good night, good night. In the Caribbean, we say good nights. I know that's kind of weird for some people. Hey, Mo, what's going on? Hello, hello. Good evening. Mo, I'm gonna give you a wave. I miss you, Mo. You need to move back to this city. I hope you guys get transferred back soon. Boss lady, wagwan. Mr. Craze driver, what's up? Nice to see everyone. Hello, and good night. Mr. Tupac 3736, what's going on? Good evening. Wagwan. Oh my goodness me. Man, it is a cold Wednesday night, but we are here live and in full effect for Wet Wednesdays as usual. You are very beautiful and hot. Thank you. I appreciate that. Mr. Dark Knight the God. Oh my goodness. Hi. Mel, just stay up. Come. You just fix yourself up. Fix up yourself. We're going to wait a couple of minutes and give other people an opportunity to join in. We're going to do the house rules because I have a very specific set of rules that I address every week just so that people understand the ins and outs and the what's going ins and the what is going ons and them things there. But I hope everyone is great this evening. We have a great discussion topic for tonight. We are going to talk about body count and when getting into a relationship, if body count matters. And if we have time, depending on how that discussion goes, we might delve into another topic, but we'll see how that goes for now. So all of you individuals from I don't know what countries who are requesting to be in a chat with me, part of my house rules, I don't accept chat requests from anybody that I don't know because I don't like unpredictable conversations in terms of I don't know you, I don't know where you're going to try to go with this conversation, I don't know what you're going to want to try to talk to me about, so whatever you feel like you need to say, you can say right here in the chat. I don't accept invites to join my live unless it's pre-scheduled and it's somebody that I already know and it's something that's already been agreed upon. If not, don't request me because I'm not going to accept your chat. It's as simple as that. Big Easy B1, what's going on? How are you? So, welcome everyone to Wet Wednesdays. I am your host, AJ Badass Jones of the Pum Pum Chronicles. Gonna give it a couple more minutes and wait for some other people to join in. Looking for my regular joiners who, hype up the conversation. Angie Young, what's going on? Mr. The last part is Felix. I never know. I don't want to mispronounce the first part, so let me just leave it alone and just say Mr. Felix. I don't know if that's correct or incorrect. But welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining in. Tonight's discussion is going to be about body counts. And when I say body counts, we're talking about the number of sexual partners that a person has had before you decide to get into a relationship with said person. So I'm going to give it just a couple more minutes. Mr. Wright, what's going on? Nice to see you. Hello. Send you a wave. We're going to give a couple more minutes for some other people to join in. In the meantime and in between time, house rules, unless you and I have pre-agreed on you joining my live, I don't accept live requests from anyone because I don't like unpredictable conversations, and more times when somebody that I don't know is trying to request to be in a live with me, it's usually they're trying to go sideways with the conversation. I don't have to cuss people. I don't want to have to be rude and disrespectful to nobody. So we just keep it simple. Unless it's a pre-scheduled thing, I don't accept live requests from anybody. Mr. Rated for a Lifetime, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Okay, so the discussion for the evening, the discussion for the night, we're going to talk about, excuse me, whether or not body count matters when you're getting into a relationship. And as I said before, body count is the number of sexual partners that you've had prior to getting into a new relationship. So I had posted this, I believe it was on Monday. And since Monday, Mr. Wright, have you enjoyed my day? It's been a good and productive day. It's been a little bit chilly. I don't know, the weather's shifting in a horrible way that makes me really nervous. And I know that winter is coming, and being in a cold country and living here for a good portion of my life, you think it's something that I would be comfortable with by now and accept by now, but yeah, I just don't love the winter. It's just not for me. I am a child of the sunshine. I am a child of the warmth, and it'll always be that way. Anyhow, the discussion of the night is whether or not body count matters. And so, sorry, just declining a call. So in having this discussion, we're talking about whether or not the amount of sexual partners that you have should dictate whether or not a person should be with you, or if it's even a question that should be brought up when entering into a relationship with someone. So at the beginning of this week, I think it was Monday, I had posted in my stories and on my page, the discussion topic of the week is body count and does it matter? And I've had a number of different people DM me and message me what their opinions are. People have commented their opinions under the post and so on. So it's kind of two minds. For the majority of people, they say that body count doesn't matter, and it's not a question that people should ask, because even if you ask the question of someone, there's no guarantee that you're going to get an honest answer. And then you have other people who believe that, it should be something that's tabled and something that's open for discussion, and for you to be able to have a healthy and honest discussion with the person. If someone is asking you, how many sexual partners have you had prior to me? If it's something that's important for them to know, in order to make them feel comfortable, in order for them to feel more secure, then it's a conversation that should be tabled. My personal opinion, it really doesn't matter how many people that you've slept with, because I don't think the number of partners that you've had determines whether or not you would be a good lover. It doesn't determine whether or not you would be a good sexual partner. It doesn't determine whether or not you were a slut or a whore or a thought or any of those sort of things. For me, what's most important about the number of people that you've slept with is how you've taken care of your own sexual health. And in that, I mean, have you gone to the doctor to go get checked? Are you getting regularly checked for STIs? Are you maintaining a healthy sexual health? Do you think it's an important dialogue to have, Mr. Wright? We will be here. What's going on, Nick? Erotic Fedora has just joined in. Hi, baby. How are you? So again, for me personally, knowing how many people a person has slept with is neither here or there. For me, the more important questions are, how are you taking care of your sexual health? Are you going to the doctor on a regular basis? Are you, when you're changing partners, whether it's monthly or what have you, are you protecting yourself? Are you just out there raw dogging everybody? Whatever it is, For me, if you're seeing your doctor on a regular basis to make sure that you're checking your STIs, to make sure that you don't have any, or if you do, that you're being careful with your STIs and making sure that you're not transferring them from your body to the next person, you're making sure that you're protecting yourself, you're making sure that you're protecting your partner, and you're making sure that you are getting checkups on a regular basis. That to me is more important. Sexually transmitted infections. They don't call them STDs anymore. They don't call them sexually transmitted diseases anymore. They call them sexually transmitted infections, which are STIs. Sorry, thank you for pointing that out, Angie Young 75, because some people don't know what STIs are. So back in the day, which was like maybe 10 years ago, not so far back in the day, they were called sexually transmitted diseases. And, like from the 80s into the 90s into the 2000s, they were always labeled as sexually transmitted diseases. I think within the last 10 years, they have modified that name to call them sexually transmitted infections. Because, there are diseases that are curable, and then there are infections, such as like herpes simplex 2 that stay with you for a lifetime and they never go away. Of course, with everything, there are ways of protecting yourself. There are ways of making sure that you are not transferring your STIs to your partner, and so on. So again, I find oftentimes when people want to have conversations with you about the number of sexual partners you've had, it's more so from a judgmental perspective, and then also for them too to gauge how they would be with you as a lover versus the number of partners that you have. You have some people who are hypersexual and they enjoy having a variety of partners for a number of different reasons, and it's not necessarily a dig against the person that they're currently going to be with. And also too, having a number of sexual partners doesn't make you a horrible person. It doesn't make you a whore. It doesn't make you loose. It doesn't make you a man whore. It doesn't make you any of those things. It just means that you enjoy sex with a multitude of partners. Again, for me, the important thing is, are you protecting yourself? Are you taking care of your sexual health and well-being? And especially in relation to other people. The worst thing that could happen to you if you are promiscuous, as they say, is that you are sleeping with a bunch of people, but you're sleeping with these individuals raw. You're not sure of what you're contracting from them or what you're giving to them or to other people. That would be the worst case scenario. If you choose to have multiple partners, if you make sure that you are using condoms, if you make sure that you're using things like Dental Dam, which is a condom if you want to go down on a woman and eat her pussy. Those to me are things that are key. Again, if you're making sure that you're getting regularly tested for sexually transmitted infections, if you're making sure that you're having honest conversation with your partner or your partners, those for me are the things that are key. You have a lot of people who are judgmental and they feel like, okay, well, I've only slept with 3 people, so that makes me better. But then they've got a shitty personality. They're very toxic to be around. These are people who, you can't have a decent conversation with them, and they feel like they're such a great catch because they've only slept with 3 people, and then they want to pass judgment on you because you slept with 30 people. There's a difference. For me, I'd rather be with somebody who has slept with 30 people, who has protected himself, and I know that he is of sound mind, than to be with someone who's only slept with 2 people and he's mentally and emotionally unstable. Crazed Driver, body count matters if she has slept with someone I know that has an STI. Even if she hasn't caught anything from him, I still won't sleep with her if it's 2 people or 100 people. But my question is, so what are you going to ask her? Have you slept with any of my friends? Or are your friends just going to come forward and say, hey, I slept with her, don't talk to her? You know what I mean? Even if the person has slept with somebody that and again, it's one of those conversations, like you're infringing on people's personal rights. Because my thing is, okay, suppose you've slept with 50 women and you haven't caught anything, and 30 of those 50 women, you've slept with them raw. Should I say, okay, well, I'm not going to sleep with you because you're a bad person because you raw dicked 30 women and, 5 of those 30 women are women that I know, you haven't gotten anything from them, but I'm not going to talk to you because you're just loose and your dick is for everybody. Again, those kind of, I don't know. I have issues with and I wrestle with those kind of personal judgments against people because, I feel like when you're asking the question about body count, at the end of the day, if the person is protecting themselves, if the person is making sure that their sexual health is being taken care of, if they're making sure that their mental and emotional health is being taken care of, why does it matter to you how many people they've slept with? How does that affect your life? How does that affect your emotions in regards to that person? How does that affect the way that you love and care for that person? Does that make the person a better person because they've slept with 5 people as opposed to 50 people? But the 5 people that they've slept with, they're bitter, they're angry, they're miserable, they're not kind-hearted, they're mentally unstable, they're emotionally unstable, but yet the person who slept with 50 people, they're more fun, they're more carefree, they're more kind, they're more gentle, they're more loving, they're more giving. They pay attention to things like self-care and self-love and making sure that they're well-balanced and well-grounded. For me, I'd rather the person that's well-balanced and well-grounded, regardless of how many people they've slept with, as long as they've taken care of their sexual health and as long as they've taken care, of their physical well-being and making sure that they've gone to the doctor on a regular basis and all that kind of stuff, as opposed to being with somebody who's only slept with 3 or 4 people, but they're miserable and bitter and angry with the world. Pepper Marie, gotta keep the party in the past unless it has present relevant. Exactly. If it's not something that's currently affecting you, why are you going to let it affect you? If 20 years ago, I went on a hoeing spree and I slept with a different man every week for 52 weeks out of the year, So I slept with 52 different men in a year, but that was 20 years ago. How is that relevant to the person that I am now? If I am kind, if I am loving, if I've never had an STI, if I, do my yearly physical, if every 6 months I get my blood work done, if, I make sure that I monitor my self-care and do the self-wellness, you know what I mean? And making sure that I live in a good and decent kind of way. How many men I slept with 20 years ago? How is that relevant to today? 610 Finest, what's going on? Kinks with Kiki, medallion. What's going on? Give everybody a wave. People get caught up in the wrong thing, like, again, you have people who think that they're such a wonderful catch, let's say, you have women that think, oh, like, I'm such a great catch because I've only slept with 4 men. I'm not a whore. I'm not out in these streets. I'm not doing all these things. But then again, when you talk to her, she has this toxic mentality. She doesn't want you to have friends. She doesn't want you to go anywhere. She wants to be the only person that you spend time with. She wants to be the only person that you talk to. When I look at the trade-off of the fact that she's only slept with, 2 or 3 men, she doesn't give head, she doesn't know how to use her pom pom well, the sex sucks and all this sort of stuff, but the thing that she holds on to is that she's loyal and she's faithful. She's only ever been with 4 men. That, I don't know, to me that just doesn't seem like a good trade-off. As weird as it is, I would rather be the guy that's with a woman that's had 20 different partners, is mentally sound, says, you know what, babe, go out with your friends, have a good time, has her own circle of friends, is well-grounded, understands that, alone time is important, spending time with your friends is important as much as spending time together is important. I'd rather be with somebody that's like that. Because again, body count is irrelevant if the person is shitty. And if she can quint it, right? Sorry, let me scroll back up for a second. Mr. Wright, I prefer not to ask about the sex partners. There's no need for it unless something about the sexual conquest will become an issue in our present pursuits of romance. Exactly. Oops. Sorry, I always do this thing where I touch the screen and I do something weird and it does something weird. So it's rocking back and forth. I do apologize. But I agree. Again, having sexual conquests or whatever you did prior to the person that you're going to be with really should be irrelevant. Trey Dizzle, I personally don't find it to be a big deal. It's all about being smart, safe, and healthy. Absolutely. Your past to your past, and who judges it, right? And again, I agree with those things. Like it's an unnecessary conversation. Mr. Trey Dizzle, you said it exactly right. A low body count does not equate experience, but also a low body count doesn't make you a better person than anybody else. You have people who, they're waiting for Mr. Right to come along, no pun intended, Mr. Right, and they're waiting for Mrs. Right to come along to say that, that's the person that they're going to do like 1,000,001 things with. And, that's all well and good. But at the same time, you can't be out here judging people who have decided that in the meantime, while they're waiting for Mr. or Mrs. Right to come along, they're going to enjoy their life. They're going to have the experiences that they want to have. They're going to live their life and have fun the way that they want to have fun. Let people be great and let people do them. Again, you have no right to pass judgment on someone because of the experiences that they've chosen to have. You have people who have had 3 sex partners and have contracted a sexually transmitted disease because they've decided that they're not going to take precautions because they figure, I haven't really slept with anybody. Regardless of what it is, there's no dictating how it's going to come about or what's going to happen. It could be that one person that you choose who's also only ever slept with 3 people. You both could have the lowest body count on the planet, sleep with each other without protection, and next thing you know, you've contracted something. It's a hit or miss. You know what I mean? You can't say that because you've got one person that slept with 100 people, oh, I'm not going to sleep with them because, they're going to give me something. It may not be that person that slept with 100 people. It may be the person really and truly who has slept with maybe 2 people ever, and one of the 2 people that they slept with, they got something from. I get that all the time. That's why I work on the character, so the pun would be applicable. I hear you. Trey Dizzle, I know a 25-year-old hottie who has slept with 2 people in her life, and I know she can't do anything for me, not with her inexperienced pum pum. Yeah. See, okay, so for me, this is where it gets a little weird, right? So You don't necessarily want a woman who has slept with 50 men because then she's overexperienced and you feel like her pum pum would done out. But then you also don't want a woman who's only slept with 2 people because you feel like her pum pum is not experienced enough, right? It's one of those weird things. Like I said, it's like a hit or miss, or it's like, again, don't ask about body count. Like, think about where you are in your life and the relevance of why you're asking. You know, and people ask weird things like, "Oh, am I the biggest you've ever been with? Have you had bigger than me?" You know, again, those are questions that you're setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up for pain in your heart. You're setting yourself up for a slap in the face. Because if the woman turns around and says to you, "No, I've had bigger than you," or "No, I've had better than you," then you're going to be in your feelings and it's going to fuck up the whole experience, right? My thing is, know what you're working with, know what you're capable of. Women, if you know you can quench your pom pom, if you know you can flip and flick and spin and twist on that dick, if you know you give head like a human trash compactor, those are the things that you should be focused on in regards to your skills and what it is that you're going to be doing with that man to you know, to wow his body and to do all those wonderful, fantastic things, right? Don't worry about which other woman has been on this man's dick. Don't worry about which other woman has sucked his dick greater than you. In that exact moment, nobody cares. Nobody cares. And the same for men. You know, us as women, I don't want you to ask me, is this the biggest dick that you've ever had? Whose pussy is this? Oh, has anybody ever made you come more times than me? Because you know what? When I give you the honest answer and say, no, your dick is not the biggest. Yes, I've had more orgasms than this. No, this is not your pussy. You're gonna get in your feelings, and then you're gonna want to fight with me, or you're gonna want to argue with me. And I don't want to argue with you. I want to fuck and I want to have a good time. You know what I mean? Stay away from the questions that are gonna make your feelings get hurt because it's just unnecessary. Men, in that moment, know your dick and know what you're working with. Make that pussy come. Make that pussy squirt. If you're going down on her, eat her pussy to the best of your ability. Don't do it because you're in competition with some imaginary person or some person that came before you. Nobody gives a shit about all of that. You know what I mean? Whatever your skill set is, do your skill set and use your skills to the best of your ability. You're not running competition with nobody. You're not running competition with nobody. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Craze driver. It's never your pussy, just your turn. You know what? Some women, for some men, it really is their pussy. It depends on the woman. It's neither here or there. But at the end of the day, the fact still remains, don't ask questions where your feelings are going to get hurt. Don't ask about body count. Don't ask dumb shit like, oh, you know, is this the best dick you've ever had? Is this the best pussy you've ever had? Because one of 2 things are going to happen. Either I'm going to lie to you and say yes, or I'm going to tell you the truth and say yes or no. And if I say no, your feelings get hurt, you can't blame me. Don't ask questions that you're not prepared for the answer for, plain and simple. Body count shouldn't matter. The person's character should matter. Whether or not they've maintained their sexual health should matter. Whether or not they've gone to the doctor yearly to get an annual checkup should matter. Whether or not they've gone to their doctor every 6 months to get blood work done to make sure that they don't have an STI, that should matter. Are they a good person? Are they taking care of their mental health and well-being? Are they taking care of their physical health and well-being? Are they a toxic person? Are they mentally stable? Those are the things that should matter. Because again, you have people who have slept with 2 people in their whole entire life waiting for their Mr. or Mrs. Right to come along, and they're a shitty, toxic individual. And then you have people who have slept with, 5 and 20 people, and they're absolutely fantastic. They're loving, they're kind, they're caring, they're in touch with their emotions, they're giving, they're mentally and emotionally stable, they do the personal wellness check-ins, and all that kind of stuff. The number of people a person has slept with does not predicate whether or not that person is a good person. There are a lot of other factors that matter, but that doesn't matter. Whether or not you're their best lover, whether or not you're their first lover, whether or not you're better than the last person they've been with, all those things don't matter, and all they do is set you up for heartache and hurt. Mr. Wright, most dudes want to stroke their ego in the sexual context, but sexual context is one of the most dangerous places to inquire of your abilities. I absolutely agree. Again, what ends up happening is your feelings get hurt. For me, if I like you and I don't want to hurt your feelings, if your dick is average and you say to me, is this the best dick you've ever had? If I like you, I might, God forgive me, I might lie to you just so that I don't hurt your feelings, but trust me, I would never sleep with you again. And it would be like the duck and dodge, the duck and dodge, the duck and dodge until you understand that we're just not fucking ever again. Craze driver. For some women, I am just amazed at their sexual prowess. This is when we as men don't give a fuck about her body count, knowing that shit is high as hell. Her style will infatuate us. That's me. No, just joking. But the truth is, sorry. Woo! I give away no secrets. I'm not saying that my body count is high. I just know. So this is me, right? I know if I'm coming to fuck you, if I'm coming to make love with you, love to you, to have sex with you, I know my intention is to come and mash up your life in the best way that I possibly can. That means I'm going to put the pussy on you and quint that shit all over you until it's slick. That means I'm going to suck your dick till you don't even remember what your first or last name is. You're all willing to give me your social insurance number or your social security number, all them things, your bank account number, and all them things. Mel, really, Mel? We're talking about the 100 pounds of fluff? All of that sort of stuff. I know that if I've chosen to have sex with you, I am going to have sex with you to the best of my ability. I don't give a fuck about who came before me. I don't give a fuck about who sucked your dick before me. I don't give a fuck about none of that, because in that moment when I'm with you, it's me that's with you. It's not anybody else that's there. And whether she was your best or not, it doesn't even make a difference, because when I am done with you, there's not going to be anybody else but me. In your mind, there's not going to be anybody else but me. That's what I think about. You know what I mean? I'm not thinking to myself like, oh, I wonder how many other chicks he's fucked before. I don't care about all that sort of stuff. It's irrelevant. It's absolutely irrelevant. What kind of dangerous activities are you planning? I don't plan any sort of dangerous activities. I didn't say that. What I said was, if I am... T. Isaiah, what's going on? What I said is, if I am going to be with you, my goal is to make sure I mash up your life, and not in a bad way. I mean, like, fuck up your head and fuck up your head. That's my goal and my intention. You know what I mean? When you're having sex with somebody, thinking about what the person before you did, it's counterproductive. It makes no sense, because at the end of the day, it doesn't make a difference what he tells you about what that woman did. If you were not in her body to feel what she was feeling, or experience what she was experiencing, or experience what he was experiencing, how are you really going to know what it feels like? He could tell you, oh, she did it like this and she did it like that, and I really like when she did this. But unless you can replicate it exactly, it's not going to serve any purpose, and it's not going to help you. And all it's going to serve to do is frustrate you, because you're never going to achieve whatever it is that she achieved. Instead of focusing on what another person did, man or woman, why not focus on doing what you do to the best of your ability? Why is that not the focus instead of body count? Mr. Wright, I agree. Whoever is before could never matter. With my work ethic and my desire to please and pay attention will always leave a lasting impression. Absolutely. Pepper Ann Marie, hurry, come back, please, ma'am. But again, the truth is, when you're asking about body count, it doesn't make a difference. Okay, so I will tell you, for women, right? When you do your Kegel exercises, which means when you quint your pom-pom and you work your muscles inside, there's no way any man can tell you how many men you fucked before him. It's impossible. Because you can't look at me and say, oh, well, you look like you fuck enough. And then when you go to fuck me, all you can do is get a finger inside of me, because I can quint my pom-pom. Because I can squeeze my muscles, because I know how to control my body. You can't look at me and tell me how many men I've slept with. Right? I could have slept with one man in the past year and you would never know the difference. Right? The way that I moan and groan, and the way that my body, you have some women who their pom pom just naturally gets wet. It has nothing necessarily to do with your dick or whatever it is that you're doing. Her vagina just naturally gets wet all the time. That could trick you and make you think, oh my gosh, she hasn't had sex in such a long time. Look at this. I slid my dick inside of her. Now she's coming all over the place. I don't know what to do with myself. And oh, this must be the best dick that she's ever had. It may be, but it also may not be. It could just be that her pom pom just gets very, very wet. The grips and the glue, the glimity and the glamity. You have some women that just have that natural ability. You know what I mean? Again, for you to get stuck in your head and say, oh, well, this must be the best dick that she's ever had, it could be, but it may not necessarily be. Stop tricking yourself into thinking those things, right? What you need to, again, be focused on is what it is that you can do and doing that to the best of your ability. Woo, let me scroll up. You need to prep me. Mel, I'm not prepping you for nothing. I don't even know where we left off. It shows your maturity level of lack thereof. Absolutely. And, and not to be disrespectful to anybody, but I feel like when you're younger and you lack a certain mind, maybe, okay, let me not say when you're younger, because you have some individuals who are younger and more mature. And I always think of things from my perspective of being a much older lady. And I know when you guys look at me, I don't look it, but I'm a much, much older lady. I guarantee you, everybody that's on my feed now, except maybe 2 people, I have at least 5 to 10 years on you, at least, minimum. Anyways, so it's not necessarily about an age, but I find that people with a more immature mindset, people who lack exposure and lack experience, tend to be the ones who are more judgmental about body count and why those type of things matter. Again, you have individuals who have slept with 1 person in a year, and then you have individuals who have slept with 100 people in a year. You have people who fuck different people all the time and make it a sport and make it a habit, and you would never know. You look at them and they look like the most chaste person on the planet. And then you have women who expose their bodies and their breasts are out and their asses are out and so on and so forth, and they're still virgins. Or they have 1 person that they've settled down with and 1 person alone that they're sleeping with. Again, using body count to judge a person is dangerous because you don't know what the true answer is that you're gonna get. For me, if I feel like you ask me that question and I know right off the bat you're gonna judge me about it, you will never get an honest answer from me. It's just impossible. And I always figure too, you know what? Past a certain number, fuck it. Who's counting? Who's counting? And why would you count? Is it relevant to something? It just really and truly isn't. Craze driver, for those ones that get crazy wet, needs to be pointed. I got a savings and bond money to give you, maybe a condo. Yo, see, I can't deal with you. I'm gonna leave off that comment and just allow it and just leave it right there. Does fat girls have a deep pussy or does skinny girls? Okay, so 00 Keith R, because you don't know me and you don't know this forum, I'm not going to answer that question because I don't know. I've never been with a fat woman and I've never been with a skinny woman. So I'm not entirely sure how you want me to answer that question. Perhaps that's research that you need to do. And then on another day, you can come back and let us know. Sir writes, if you are preparing to have sex and your cerebral cortex can't leave the thought about body count, that says a lot about the fear or insecurity that's internally present. It does. It's sad and unfortunate when a person is so sidetracked by who came before them that they cannot be in the moment to enjoy who they're with. That for me is a shame and a disappointment. I've been with someone who was like that, and no matter how many reassurances you provide the person, no matter how many times you tell the person that they're the only one that you want to be with, and intimacy with them right now is the only thing that you're thinking about, and that intimacy with them is the only thing that you want, no matter how many times you try to reassure a person of that, someone who is stuck in their mind about how many lovers you've had before and how many men have pleased you before and how much bigger was this person and that person, when they're that stuck in their mind, it completely ruins the experience, and there's no way for you to help them mentally and emotionally move past it. And it's a really sad and unfortunate, especially if it's somebody that you feel strongly about, and especially if it's somebody that you really want to be intimate with, it just kind of kills the whole vibe, And again, I feel like there are certain discussions that are just unnecessary. If if I'm at the age that I'm at and you're 10 years younger than me, that means I've had a whole 10 years more life experience. So what did you want me to do? Like sit down and not have sex with anybody while waiting for you to maybe come along, even though I didn't know that you existed? That's unfair to the person, you know? Wherever the person is at, meet them where they're at. You know, the things that should be important and the things that should be relevant in a relationship or getting to know the person is, who are they at this moment that you're meeting them? You know, what have they done? Like, to me, it's one of those things where, you know what, instead of asking the question about sexual partners, both of you guys go get tested together. Let that be an exercise that both of you guys go do together. So there's no question, there's no guesswork. You both go to the same doctor, you both have the same doctor draw your blood, you both get your test results and you share your test results. And to me, that is a better sign of trust. You know what I mean? Instead of having that conversation about, okay, well, how many people have you slept with before? Because again, you have people who've only ever slept with 2 people, and that person has only ever slept with 2 people, and somewhere within that 2 and 2, somebody had an STI, and one of the 2 of those individuals got it, and the other person contracted it. You know, I know people who you have porn stars. This is what they do for a living, is having sex with other people. They've had sex with hundreds of people and have never contracted anything. Again, it's about how you protect yourself. It's about how you care for your body. You know, it's about making sure that you're getting those checks on a regular basis. And again, you have people who have slept with 3 people in their whole entire lives, but their mental and emotional selves are so toxic that you can't be in a relationship anyway. Fuck the body count. You know what I mean? At that point, that shit's not even important. It's like, this person, you can't have a conversation with them because everything turns into argument. You can't go anywhere because they don't want you to spend time with your friends. All they ever want you to do is stay in the house and be like, to me, I would rather fuck everybody on the planet and not be in a toxic relationship than be in a toxic relationship with somebody because they've only ever slept with 3 people. I couldn't do that to myself. That's just stress. That's just stress. Whoops. You can't care for yourself and is fucking 100 people. Laza Gordon, you are absolutely entitled to your opinion, and I respect it, and that's all I have to say. Again, we're not here to pass judgment on people and what they do. You're entitled to your opinion just the same way as everybody else is entitled to their opinion. You know, I know people who are escorts, and, you know, some of the services that they provide is sleeping with individuals for pay. And they've slept with more than 100 people. And I guarantee you, these are some of the most kind and loving and generous and considerate and well-balanced individuals that you'll ever meet. You know, you have people who have slept with 3 and 4 people, and they're shitty. Their personalities are shitty. Their mental is shitty. The way that they communicate is like, just everything about them is toxic. Again, the number of sexual partners that you have does not dictate the type of human being that you are. Those 2 things just have no correlation and make absolutely no sense. You have girls that are virgins and are bitter as fuck, and they need some penis to help them. Maybe it'll help them relax and open up. You know, like, yes, I'm being a jerk, but you understand what I mean? Like, you can't pass judgment and say that, you know, oh, well, a person that slept with 100 people, they can't be, what would you say? You can't care for yourself if you're fucking 100 people? How do you make that correlation? Please explain to me. Okay? Laza Gordon, how do you make the correlation between caring for yourself and sleeping with 100 people, and that those 2 things can't happen? I know that they are good people, but they don't care about their body. Again, how do you decide that someone doesn't care about their body? Like, if you are making a conscious choice to share sexual energy with another person, how does that make you not care about your body? There's no direct correlation between body count and character. I completely agree. But I'm waiting for this, I don't know if it's a man or a woman, so please forgive me, but I'm waiting for this individual to answer the question. How do you make a direct correlation between a person being they're a good person, but they don't care about their body if they've slept with 100 people? Because basically you're saying that an individual who has slept with, say, 10 or less people, they're a much better person than someone who has slept with 100 people. That person who has only slept with 5 or 10 people cares more about their body than someone who has slept with 100 people. So let me ask you a question, okay? You have someone who has only slept with 10 people in their whole entire life. And 9 of those 10 people, they've never used a condom with. They have contracted 4 STIs from 4 of those 10 people. But then you have a person who has slept with 100 people, has used a condom every single time, has used dental dam every single time, has never contracted an STI, sees their doctor on a regular basis and make sure that they get blood work done on a regular basis. So now you tell me, which person doesn't care about their body? Because a person has slept with 100 people doesn't mean that they care about their body. They don't care about their body. It's the way in which they take care of their body. I am not saying that lower body count means that you are good, but you just said that a person with a higher body count doesn't care about their body. So I'm asking you to explain to myself and the viewers, how do those two things correlate? How does it correlate that someone who has slept with 100 people cares less about their body than someone who has a lower body count? Because again, someone with a lower body count could have just been carefree and say, okay, well, I've only slept with 5 people. I've never used condoms with the 5 people. In the haphazardness of that decision, 3 of the 5 people that they've slept with, they've contracted a different STI from those individuals. But then you have somebody who slept with 50 people and always uses a condom, always makes sure that they get blood work, and always goes for their annual checkup every single year. Would you not say that that person with a higher body count cares more about their body because they're proactive about their body as opposed to the person who has the lower body count? Again, we are making judgments about people based on their past, based on their choices. If you're making choices that don't harm anybody, if you're making choices that don't harm yourself, I don't see what the problem is. Lasso Gordon, the person put their foot in their mouth. I'm waiting for an explanation because I'd like to understand it. Like, you can't say that a person with a lower body count cares more about their body than a person with a higher body count. Again, I know people who have slept with a minimal amount of people and have contracted at least 2 STIs. And then I know people who do escorting and they've never had a sexually transmitted infection ever. They always make sure that they have their own condoms if the other person doesn't have condoms. If it's somebody that wants to go down on them, they make sure that they use Dental Dam. They make sure that they get regular checkups and they go for blood work. I think it's every 3 to 6 months, you know what I mean? To make sure that they themselves are protected. If they've got a much higher body count. But because they know that they enjoy sex so much, they are very conscientious about taking care of their bodies. And I would say that they care more about their bodies than the person who has a lesser body count. Beer eyes. I'm waiting. The person hasn't they haven't come back yet, so I don't know. Regardless. So for those of you who are joining in late, the discussion of the evening is whether or not body count matters to a relationship. And body count is the number of sexual partners a person has had over the course of their sexual life. It doesn't really matter when their sexual repertoire started. It's just over the course of their sexual repertoire. So the debate currently is, if you have a lesser body count, that somehow makes you a better person than someone that has a higher body count. Hey, that's Casey. What's going on? You know, again, the fact is, having those discussions about how many partners a person has had is absolutely irrelevant. What you should be focused on is how you are going to sexually please that person and the relationship that you sexually have with that individual. People get caught up, and I say this all the time, people get caught up with the wrong things. AJ, they're scared. They're scared to respond. You know what? I welcome all perspectives. I just don't like people who try to present information as factual without any sort of backing or basis. If you have a valid argument, and I don't mean like arguing like we're arguing back and forth, but if you have a valid point, present it. You know what I mean? You can't come with invalid points of saying, okay, well, a person with a lesser body count, they take better care of their body. That's absolute bullshit. Like, not to be disrespectful in my response, but it's bullshit. There you go. I have a high body count, but in my experience, people with high body count treasure their body a lot less. Again, I can't agree with that. I know people who have a higher body count. They are vegans. They work out on a regular basis. Again, they get their blood checked every 3 to 6. One man that I know, okay, he works out religiously. He is a vegan. His one bad habit is that he likes cigars. He gets his blood work done every 3 to 6 months because there are a particular group of women, I don't want to say group, but there are a few women that he sleeps with regularly that he does not use condoms with and does not intend to use condoms with. But what he does is he makes sure that he gets his blood work checked every 3 to 6 months to make sure that he does not have an STI. He makes sure that he gets a physical, his regular physical, once a year. And like I said, he takes care of his internal health and his external health. And he's got a high as fuck body count. And then I also know individuals who, again, have slept with maybe 5 people, and 3 of the 5 people they've contracted STIs from. The number of people that you sleep with is not what's relevant. It's the way in which you take care of your body. And insinuating that someone who has slept with 100 people cares less about their body than someone who's only slept with 5, I'm sorry, I'm going to be disrespectful. That's absolutely asinine. Y'all stop talking about your drinks. I am texting someone else, so I may text back slow. Okay, whatever it is. I'm not going to keep doing the back and forth with you. The point is, having a higher body count does not mean that you have... It doesn't mean that you take less care of your body than someone who has a lower body count. It really and truly doesn't. And that argument is just invalid. If you have somebody who knows that they enjoy having sex, again, they go to the doctor on a regular basis, they make sure that they're taking care of their sexual health, they make sure that they're using condoms. If it's somebody that they're going down on or somebody that's going down on them, they use Dental Dam, which is a shield like a condom to protect your pum-pum when somebody wants to eat your pussy. When they're doing all of those things, they're going to their doctor on a regular basis, when they're getting their checkups on a regular basis, and when they're getting their blood work done on a regular basis, to me, that is absolutely taking care of your body. You have people who don't sleep with nobody and go to the doctor once every fucking 10 years. That's far worse to me than someone who is sleeping with multiple people and making sure that they're taking care of their physical health and well-being. It just doesn't make any sense. What you're saying, sir or ma'am, I don't know if you're a man or a woman, makes absolutely no sense. That's KC. There will always be a difference of opinion because we all have different spiritual, mental, whatever beliefs. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And you know what? For me in these situations, it's a matter of agreeing to disagreeing and respecting whatever a person's position is in life in regards to that. I just don't feel like it's right for you to say that one is better than the other, because really and truly, they're not, you know? It's like saying one religion is better than the other, or one God is better than the other, or one, you know, whatever is better than the other. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, and everyone is entitled to believe what it is that they believe. Just don't make it seem like that's the one standard perspective in life or the one standard perspective on the planet, because it really and truly isn't. You have people that, you know, if they know that you slept with 10 people, they don't want to be with you. They want to know that you slept with one person. In this day and age, I don't know where that happens, but again, I don't have to be honest with you. I could have slept with 200 people. And if you say to me, how many people have you slept with? I could tell you 10. How would you know the truth? How would you know the difference? If my pum-pum feels like from when I was 16 to now, how would you know the difference of how many people I've slept with, right? It would be up to me to be honest with you. But if you don't make me feel like I can be honest with you without judgment, you're never going to get an honest answer from me. Mr. Wright, at the end of the day, whether the body count is high or low, take care of your health. Absolutely. Taking care of your health is of the highest importance, boss lady Mel. Absolutely. Do what makes you happy. Just that's KC. That's the part that I was waiting for somebody to say. Do whatever makes you happy. Just make sure you are safe about it. Again, you have people who have only slept with a handful of people, and they throw caution to the wind because they say, oh, well, you know, you're the third person I've slept with and I don't sleep around, so let's not use a condom. And next thing, they're getting pregnant, they're getting a disease, and all hell is breaking loose. And then you have people who have decided, I want to sleep with every man that comes across my path or every woman that comes across my path, and they steady walk with a box of Trojans or a box of condoms in their back pocket, in their wallet. They always have condoms because they know, I want to sleep around, but I'm going to protect myself, right? Again, it's not about how many people you slept with. It's about making yourself happy, making sure you're not hurting yourself and you're not hurting anybody else, and making sure that you are protecting yourself. You have people who have low body counts, and they're unhappy, miserable, unbalanced, unstable, toxic people. And then you have people who sleep with different people weekly. They take care of their sexual health. They get their checkups regularly. They make sure that their emotional and mental well-being is in check. They do the self-reflection. They do the self-love. They do the self-care. They take care of all of those pieces. And they're well-grounded and well-rounded, right? Again, someone's body count really should be irrelevant in the greater scheme of things, because it shouldn't impact the relationship that you build with that person. Whoever came before me She can't do what I do, just like I can't do what she does. And unless I've been physically in her body, you could tell me all the fantastic things that she's done, and I still can't replicate that because I'm not her. All I can do is do what I do to the best of my ability. That's Casey. I was with a man for 10 years and used condoms every time we fucked, but that fell on my trust issues. No one is perfect. You just need to cover your own ass. Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, it's about making sure that you take care of yourself, right? A lot of people get bogged down mentally and emotionally by traumas, by, things that they've experienced, not necessarily a trauma, but, shitty relationships that they've experienced, things that cause them to have trust issues. And good or bad, maybe that's a good thing because it forces you into a situation where you make sure that you protect yourself so that you don't get caught unawares, so that you're not, caught up in a situation where next thing you know, you've contracted an STI because you threw caution to the wind, And then you have some people who say, fuck it, they're just going to do whatever. And they throw caution to the wind and it ends up backfiring on them. And then it becomes something that they have to live with for the rest of their life, right? Sorry, I was reading Boss Lady Mel's question, her comment, but we're gonna leave that there. Time-wise, I think I have about 10 minutes left. Anyway, so the overall resonating piece about this conversation is to do what makes you happy. Don't get sidelined by people's judgments of you. If you feel like it's someone that you can have an honest conversation with about body count and you want to have the conversation, have the conversation. If you are the person who's asking and it's something that you really want to know, make sure that you're providing safe space for the person to answer the question. And when I say safe space, I mean like the non-judgmental type of safe space. Because what ends up happening is, you'll say to somebody, oh, just tell me I'm not going to get mad, or just tell me I'm not going to hold it against you. And then you get mad and then you hold it against the person. And then what ends up happening is, from there on out, anything that you ask the person, they're just going to lie about because they feel like now they can't trust you because whatever it is that they've told you, you're now holding them hostage with. Don't do that. Don't do that to the person, especially if they've trusted you and they've opened up to you. And also don't do that to yourself. Again, when getting to know somebody and you're looking at the particulars of being in a relationship, the last thing that should be a deciding factor is how many people that individual has slept with. If it's of such great concern to you, ask the person when's the last time they had a physical. Ask the person when's the last time they had their blood work done. Mr. Wright, it's interesting because in my church religion, it's frowned upon to have multiple sex partners. Crazily enough, church folk end up sexually active prior to marriage and become outcasts afterwards. Yeah, that's a little bit crazy. Leia, like Boss Lady MW said, let's not start that one. Trey Shaw, I don't want to know unless I ask, and I'm not asking. People don't always lie about it, you know what I mean? But it's true, people can't handle the truth. For me, it's like, my thing is, if you ask me, I'm going to say, if this is going to be something that you use against me or hold against me, then I'm not going to answer you. But if you're asking me because we're going to have a mature conversation about this, and this is something that, for whatever reason is going to help you move forward in a relationship, then I will answer the question. But the second I feel like there's going to be some attack, we're hitting a wall. We're hitting a wall, and I would never trust you with any information again. Plain and simple. Mr. Wright, but folks make a horrible assumption about people and make sex so taboo. It's a real activity that demands mature conversation and non-judgmental thought. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. But a lot of people can't get to that place because of their own insecurities and their own doubts. Again, I would rather focus on how I'm going to wow you, how I'm going to mash up your head, and how I'm going to mash up your head. I would rather focus on all the tricks that I'm going to pull out of my bag to make you forget every woman that ever came before me. That to me is my focus. I'm not thinking about how many other pum pum you swam in before me. I'm not thinking about how much other great head you've had before me. I just know that when my pum pum comes in contact with you and my mouth comes in contact with you, that's the only thing that you need to be thinking about, because I'm coming with my A game so that anybody that came before me just gets dashed with. Them dashed with. It doesn't even matter. Why are these big girls? It's all about body positivity down on big guys. Woo, we are running out of time. Honestly, I will table that discussion next week. That will be the topic of discussion next week, and I will make sure that I post that ahead of time so that people know what's coming for the discussion. because we're going to run out of time shortly, and I don't really like going over an hour because then I feel like it becomes a long, redundant conversation. But Mr. Craze Driver, I promise you, I promise, that will be the topic of conversation for next week. Mo, did you say you believe I can snatch a soul? Don't kill me right now. Mr. Craze Driver, for me, you need to catch me with your personality and mentality. If you don't have that, it doesn't matter what size you are. That's Casey. Listen to me. Next week, Wednesday, when we do Wet Wednesdays, beg you please, young lady, madam, lady, mom, medallion, please make sure you come back because that's going to be a very important discussion that's tabled. So Mr. Craze Driver had messaged me because there is a video that's out where a woman of a particular, she's a SSBBW, so she's a big girl. She made this video that's offensive talking about the fact that she wouldn't date a fat guy or she wouldn't date a guy of size because, you know, you can't be two big people that are together and he's got titties and he's got and she just went off. And so he and I have had a conversation about that. I promised him that I would table that discussion. We're going to run out of time tonight in this discussion talking about body count, but I promise you that will be the topic of conversation next week. And I would love for everybody to come back so that we can talk about it. Mr. Wright, I'm trying to be attentive, passionate, and magnetic levels of nasty. Whoever was before me doesn't matter. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, thank you. That's Casey. She said that she's gonna come back. So next week I'm gonna post it because I always post it the Monday before the lives, and the lives are every Wednesday night. So next week we're going to be tabling big girls body shaming big men. Because I think that's something very important for us to talk about, because we always talk about the acceptance of women who are BBWs and plus size and fluffy and SSBBWs, but really and truly we never have a conversation that supports the men who are of a larger size. And I think that there's something really bad that's going on right now in the community where you've got plus size women who are slandering plus size men, and I'm not here for the bullshit with nobody. Not here for it with nobody. Anyhow, we're going to wrap up the night. I want to say thank you to everyone who joined. I want to thank everyone who actively participated. Mr. Laza Gordon, yes, I hope you come back for our discussion last week. You know what? As much as you and I had a bit of a back and forth, I do want to say that I respect your opinion. I respect your perspective. I really and truly do. I like being able to have adult conversations with people. And, you know, the reality is in life, you're not always going to agree with someone, but at the very least, respect the person's perspective, respect their opinion, and you can agree to disagree. So, even though you and I had a difference of opinions, I do respect your perspective, and I appreciate that you were actively participated in the discussion, and that you had an opinion that was differing from mine or from some of the other people that were also engaged in the conversation. So respect to you, and thank you for being here. To everyone that joined in my live, this has been Wet Wednesdays from the Pum Pum Chronicles. Please make sure you follow my podcast page, which is the Pum Pum Chronicles Pod. This discussion will be uploaded to my YouTube channel, which is also the Pum Pum Chronicles Pod. Tomorrow will be a new episode dropped on my social media platforms. So, of course, that will be listed everywhere that you can listen to that discussion. I have a special guest that's on with me for tomorrow. I want to thank everyone who joined in the live tonight. I appreciate everyone's input and feedback and for actively participating. Thank you all for being respectful and for being mature and respecting the difference of opinions. We don't always see eye to eye, but it's nice to have different perspectives. And there's nothing wrong with agreeing to disagree. And that's Casey. I'm so happy to see you. I'm so happy that you joined in. I know this one kind of goes late from 9 to 10, but the reason I do that is because I know that people have kids, and then, you know, there's homework and there's dinner and all those kind of good things. So it's always nice when people are able to have that sort of downtime, and it's adult time, and we can have these adult conversations where we can cuss and carry on and say the things where we want to say and all that kind of stuff. Boss lady, you know, I love you. Mr. Wright, Mr. Craze Driver, and everyone else that joined in, thank you so much. I will see you guys again next week, Wednesday, 9 p.m. sharp for Wet Wednesdays live. And yeah, thank you. Okay, so this is the part where I try to disconnect. Jules, you were here the whole time. I'm just seeing you now. Love you, mama. See you guys later.